You go.
Good day. My name is Dr. Merrick, John Merrick. I am the developer and inventor of the Nexerciser, a portable exercise system designed specifically for the neck, utilizing diagnostic muscle testing and evaluation, as well as isometric and isotonic exercise protocol for all vectors, testing and exercising 42 muscles within the contributing to cervical spine function. So what I'm going to do is the video is going to be in 3 phases. The first phase is going to just deal with the sort of an introduction, what it is, the parts of it, and how they will operate. And then we'll do 1 phase on isometric, followed by the phase on isotonic, and then it'll be done. So along with the Nexerciser, you're going to have a progress sheet that'll give you the date and time of each exercise, where the numbers begin, where they end for flexion, extension, right and left lateral flexion, and so on. This will be very self-explanatory when you see it, and it's in the Nexerciser package. If you don't have it, then be certain to call the 800 number, and we'll make certain that you get them. All right? So that being said, comes in its own package. All of this video and everything, as you'll see, is going to be online. So there'll be no more DVDs or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to just pull this Nexerciser right out of here and get rid of the extra package. So the breakdown of it is, this is a polypropylene kraton substance. Doesn't mean much, but very durable. Never had any come back with any type of damage to them. It's a cylindrical handle which is used to support and support the head up against the wall, and with user control. Now, of course, anyone could use a ball and go and train your head up against the wall, but the problem with that is in terms of quantifying the values of flexion to extension and right and left lateral flexion. We know that a greater than 10% imbalance can be significantly significant. Sorry, I keep going. She can edit that out. I just jump right in.
All right.
Don't be afraid. I know that thing you just heard. So, at any rate, so we have the cylindrical handle that feeds with 2 rubber tubes, and 1 tube goes to a bulb that controls the intrinsic pressure within the ball that is read on the gauge. This is a relatively airtight system, and to ensure that, we have put on 2 IV clamps for additional secure airway system once we pump it up. So the way that it works is when you receive the unit, you can take the tubing right off, blow it up, and get it up to the, we always start with at the beginning of number 2, and we'll see that when we are training, and you'll see the actual exercise. That'll become very self-explanatory. So you blow it up, it's up, return the rubber piece back onto the handle, or the bulb. And now we're going to, as we see when we do the exercise, we're going to pump this unit right up to the beginning of 2, right on the 2. And then, while it's there, you're going to clamp, 1 IV clamp and the other, and you're going to have a pretty secure, tight air system. And then you'll see as you use the unit, the gauge is going to deflect. The beauty of this is that you are going to be in control of the resistance, or your patient that is using this, control of the resistance. So if there's any pain or discomfort, they can just pull away from the unit, as we'll see, and you're good to go, and there's no damage, no harm, no foul. The Nexerciser was researched at NYU, a very conclusive study where they had research people at the university, and they were all tested. They trained with the unit, retested, and all of them got between 60 and 80% increase in neck strength all around, as well as balancing right and left lateral flexion and getting an appropriate ratio of Flexion to Extension. That paper is available on the website, and you'll be able to read it in detail. Okay, this is used in the U.S. Olympics, professional baseball, football. Any of you who remember Steve Grogan back with the Patriots? Grogan had a very severe neck injury. He used this, and he said it after surgery and so on, he said it gave him 2 more years in the NFL. This Nexerciser will get all 42 muscles that control the neck safely and efficiently. It's not made for the 300-pound gorillas unless they've had a neck injury. And then start with this and proceed to the weight stack with the heavier weights. So any athlete who's had an injury should rehab, start with this, and then lead to the heavier weights if they're in that secondary into college and professional sport and so on. There is a lot of discussion now about neck strength and concussion, and we have a couple of research projects that I have proposed, and we're looking for some grants and so on to kind of look at how neck strength relates to concussion. The literature leads to the idea that it may not prevent concussion unless the person is aware of the impending impact or perturbation. And then if the neck is strong and balanced, they're good to go. But the big thing is after an injury. Bob Cantu and his cohorts did a great study. It was in Injury Journal, Sport Journal, and 6,700 athletes, and the walls that they tested, everyone that had a concussion had a weaker imbalanced neck. Now, we don't know if it was before the concussion or after, but from my experience, I can tell you that post-concussion, everybody should be training their neck before they go back onto their game, onto the pitch, the field, whatever it might be. So let's get into the next phase now, and we're going to introduce the isometric protocol utilizing the Nexerciser. Alrighty, so now we're going to go through the different phases, isometric and isotonic. Isometric is first, and we're going to go into the forward flexion to begin. So Dr. O'Connell's going to set up his footing facing the wall. He's going to turn it, check the feet. Most important with the feet, that they're shoulder width apart and one leg is back so that you get a good counterforce in terms of creating an optimal amount of pressure and resistance. Okay? Now, the user of the ball is going to bring the ball up on the forehead, just above the bridge of the nose. Going to turn the handle up, and he's going to keep his eyeballs right on the gauge. Going to tuck the chin, and then pushing with the head, not with the body, creating this amount of comfortable. We start at the number 2, as we showed you before, and he's going to hold it for 6 seconds, and then relax. And then he's going to ramp up again. Tuck the chin, hold it for 6 seconds, get the deflection that you want. We record it, and it's going to be written down, and relax. And again, the feet stay in that forward, pointing straight into the wall, shoulder width apart, and straddled. Now we're going to go into the lateral flexion. Okay, so now we're going to just kind of quickly go over the right lateral flexion, which is the same setup as the left, only the opposite side. So again, feet are most important. The ipsilateral foot is up against the wall. The contralateral is spread at least shoulder width apart, perhaps a bit more. Gauge is in the visual field. Ball is resting on the top of the ear, and the user will, with the instructions, tilt the head, push in, create your resistance that he is in control of. Notice that during this, if he had discomfort or pain, he could just step away, and no harm, no foul. There's no commitment to the exercise. So this is a really important, especially when you're using it for rehab. All right. So again, create the tension, tilt the head, push in, and notice again that the feet up against the wall, shoulder width apart. All right. Repetitions, you decide what your patient needs. 6, 8, 10, whatever it might be. Okay, so now all right, so now we're going to go into the lateral flexion. As you can see that the body of the user is perpendicular to the wall, and the feet are 10 to 12 inches apart, shoulder width or better. One foot is up solidly against the wall, and the contralateral side to the exercise is away from the wall. And body's straight, and the unit itself is going to be placed just above the ear, and the gauge is in the visual field straight on. And now from this, what's going to happen is that he's going to tilt the head to the left and then push in with the head only, creating a certain amount of resistance, which we will figure out at the end. But he'll start at 2 and go to 2.5 or 3, whatever he's comfortable in the beginning. That's where they start. The thing is that you record it on the sheet and then relax, and then push in again, tilt the head a little bit more, push, good. Turn the gauge towards me so we can see it deflecting. You can see that. Hold it for a count of 6. Okay, go back. And relax. And again, feet are most important. If the feet get too close together, you'll realize that there is just no way to create a optimal amount of tension and resistance. Okay, now we're going to look at the process for extension utilizing the Nexerciser, isometric. And we'll see that Eric is going to position himself back parallel to the wall. The sacrum, lower back is up flat against the wall, and the feet are a good 1.5 feet or so out, shoulder width apart for a ready stance. Knees are bent, so you're ready to take on an impact or baseball positioning or whatever it might be. You're ready to go, and this is perfect for the counterforce that we want to create during the isometric and isotonic phase. So during this isometric phase, you're going to notice that Eric's going to put the ball down below the EOP for the isometric. We'll see that isotonic is going to be on the EOP, but for the isometric, below the EOP, rest comfortably behind the head. And now he's going to look up towards the ceiling and bring the gauge with him, and at that point, create the isometric tension that the doctor or you'll prescribe for the patient. Hold it for a count of 6 and let it relax. And the unit should just stay right there in a comfortable position. He lets the pressure off. All right, ramp up again. 2-second ramp. Hold for 6 seconds. And then relax. Perfect. Know that the back sacrum is up against the wall, and the feet are a good 1.5 feet, shoulder width plus apart for good counter force. Okay, now we're going into the isotonic phase. All right, and this becomes a little bit more complex. There's a little bit of a learning curve with this, so don't get discouraged in the beginning. And I make this point again, and I did in the beginning, but you as the doctor, the therapist, or trainer should master this technique before you start training other people on it. Get it down yourself. It's very easy once you get going with it. So, all right, so this is the forward flexion for isotonic. Eric is going to position himself parallel facing the wall. He's going to put the ball right up at the bridge of the nose, managing the handle however he's comfortable with. And at the same time, remember that the feet are shoulder width apart, and tandem, so that you get a good counter force. Now with this, he's going to create his tension and go forward with forward flexion, 2-second concentric, 3-second eccentric, 2-second down and to the left, and I'm trying to keep the beat good. 2 seconds, concentric down, eccentric 3 seconds, back to neutral, all the way down, look down, keeping the eyes on the gauge, you come up on a 3-second, over to the left and down, 2-second, eccentric 3 seconds, down and to the right, concentric and eccentric, and relax. Now he's going to, at the same time, we want to really incorporate the rotation of this, because we know that that's a big factor with, especially in concussions. So the handle comes down, the feet remain in the same position, everything else is the same. The feet come down, the handle comes down, and now he's going to create his pressure, a little bit of flexion, and now left rotation, 2-second eccentric, all the way through the motion, and at this point he's keeping the gauge in the middle of his field and tracking as he turns left, eyes go right, and vice versa. A nice smooth 2 to 3 second concentric and eccentric work, and you're getting all the rotatories with this. All the muscles that contribute to rotation. All right, very good. Alrighty, then we're going to go into right lateral flexion, isotonic protocol. And Dr. O'Connell's going to have the positioning the ball again above the ear, comfortable position, gauge in the visual field. Again, the feet 8 to 10 inches, 1.5 spread parallel. And at this point, doing the isotonic, he's going to do a lateral tilt and laterally flex. And if they have an issue, I'll just come in here as a demo. In terms of helping the patient to get the movement, you can work with them to tilt and then go all the way and give them a push. Good. And then come back like that. Nothing like hands-on for additional stimulation, proprioception, feedback, and so on. Perfect. Keeping the needle in the position that's recommended by you, or that's comfortable for the patient in the beginning. Okay, and again, notice that the feet are shoulder width apart parallel. So now we'll go into the rotation. In the rotation, again, he's going to create a lateral tilt. The handle is down, and now he's going to turn the head whichever way, right. Eyes are fixed on the gauge, then comes back all the way to the left. Get as much rotation as you can get. And while this is going on, you make notes of, oh, I had pain at the end range, or it seemed to, you'll see the needle deflects a little bit. So that may be a range that you have to give some more individual attention in terms of strengthening and any additional therapeutic procedures. Okay, now for the isotonic in lateral flexion. We're going to do this with left lateral flexion. And again, note the feet at least 1.5 feet apart and parallel. Body's perpendicular to the wall. The ball rests on top of the ear. He's got the visual, the gauge in front of him, starting at 2, lateral tilt with the head. And then he's going to roll the head down. Roll it down like that, lateral, good. Moves away from the wall a little bit. And then move the shoulders in, perfect. And then roll it away, 2 seconds. So you're getting a concentric and eccentric contribution of all the muscles that are working on both sides. Perfect. Notice there's a little bit of a sway with the hip to be able to get the full range of motion on the shoulder, and the feet remain spread and parallel. Perfect. Now, in this position, we'll also get the rotation. So I'm going to have him bring the handle down in this fashion. Going to keep the eyes on the gauge. Bring the head up, or the gauge up just a little bit in front of the visual field. And wherever the ball is comfortable, perhaps above the ear or on it, whatever he's comfortable with. But again, The feet remain the same. And he's going to create a tilt, lateral tilt, a little bit, get the tension you want, and then he's going to turn the head left, keeping the eyes tracking back to the gauge, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and so on. Good, perfect. Maintaining that the needle deflection as close as has been prescribed on the 2, 2.5, 3, whatever it might be. But the idea is to keep the needle steady. And so in the beginning, you may need to use less weight or less resistance to control it. Once you learn the control, then the resistance will be able to be increased. Okay, perfect. All right, and then the final positioning is we're going to work in the extension for the isotonic, the isotonic exercise. And so again, we see that Eric is set up. He's going to have the feet are again 1.5 feet, 2 feet apart, and knees are bent, probably 10, 15 degrees, good steady, ready position. The back and sacrum are up against the wall. And the Nexerciser now is going to be just below the EOP, not into the nape of the neck, but just below the EOP. And at this point, he's going to create his tension by the tilt. Gauge comes up, and now he's going to look all the way up, maintaining the resistance, and down. Now he's going to look up and to the left, and notice he keeps the gauge in the middle field and tracks back to it. And then up in the other direction. Good. And then straight up again, controlling that, trying to keep that needle on the whatever position that you both agree on that should be used. Good. Up and to the right, perfect. Okay, and notice again the feet, most important. So from here we'll go to the rotation, and now the situated position, it can be a little tricky. You got to kind of play with it a bit, but once you keep the tension on the unit, it's going to work. It'll work fine. So you keep the tension, and now he's going to rotate to the right, keeping the gauge good, to the left, back to the right again, all the way. Good range of motion. Back again. Perfect. Okay, excellent.